Hello and welcome back to the Monsters of Monster Hunter Double Cross, where today we're taking on Rajang. Rajang is a lot of people's worst monster. I wouldn't say it's mine, but it's definitely one that has a pretty high incidence of getting me. Mainly because Rajang just does lots of damage. Like lots. But that's fine. We can handle a Rajang, especially if it's by itself. When it's a furious Rajang and it's paired with a big bear, then we have a few more problems, but that's not what this is. This is just gonna be a Rajang all by itself. And we just gotta find it, but I'm pretty sure it starts right through here. Yep, that looks like a Jang. So we're going to try and break its horns, and if we get those both broken, we're also going to try and break its tail. No guarantees on the tail. The horns I'll almost certainly end up breaking, though. Ow. Running out of stamina does not help. Breaking the tail is interesting. It was a little bort. Yes, it was a little bort more helpful back in Freedom Unite, because back then it prevented it from ever raging again. In this game, it just knocks it out of rage. Just the one time. It can still enrage again afterward. And in Freedom Unite, you needed to do at least 1 point of ice damage to the tail in order to break it. In this game, that is no longer the case. You just need to do damage. How kind of him to just let us gather that unmolested. And he's pumping up his arms. I don't like it when they pump up their arms. That's a thing that was added in 4U. And it's a thing that makes fighting them less pleasant, because when their arms aren't pumped up, their whole body is a weakness exploit weak zone. When their arms are pumped up, well, you bounce off them with any level of sharpness. Looks like one more hit will get us energy charge ready. There we go. And here we go. Oh, thanks for jumping into that. It's not a huge amount of damage. It's like half the damage of our overhead swing in axe mode. But still, damage is damage, especially when a monster jumps into it for free. Also, we just got a little bit launched. It doesn't launch you like that when the arms are not pumped up. Speaking of the arms not being pumped up, that's what they are right now. Not pumped up. Yeah, let's not be directly under that when we stand up. So if I hadn't been jumping right there, we would have been grabbed. Ow! That was quite the leap. But I need health. And I need it like yesterday. Don't know who he was aiming at, but thankfully, wasn't me. That beam is definitely a lot more intimidating in the Generations and Cross games than it was in 4U and in Freedom Unite. Because back then it was just like a lightning bolt. But now it's actually a freaking beam and it's terrifying. Okay, there go the horns. That was broken pretty quick. But now we've got that tail, which is a little bit tougher to get broken, mainly because it likes to wave around. But when he does that move, we can get a few hits pretty reliably. Okay. Buddy, do your beam. That's not your beam, that's your fists. That's also your fists. Are you confusing fists with beams? Because they are two different concepts. You should really learn the difference. Yeah, that's your beam. We only got one hit on the tail, the other two were on the legs. That's not what we were going for. Bye! I love just watching him go. He just went through the mountain. Just good job, Jang. You went through a mountain. Most monsters don't do that. Now, you're supposed to use stuff like that when I'm on the other side so I can actually hit your tail. I can see where you would have messed it up, but yeah, I need you to just let me smack your tail around. Again, you're supposed to do this when I'm already where I can hit the tail. We didn't get any hits on the tail there. I'm beginning to think he just doesn't want me to break his tail. I'm glad he actually let me finish my energy charge there. He certainly didn't have to. Ow. Ooh, thank you. Ow. Oh, if only I didn't get hit, we would have gotten a ride. Of course, the ride doesn't exactly make it easy to hit his tail. Tail waves around a lot when he's knocked down after a ride, after all. But still, we would have kept the rest of him still. No tail hits there. I could use a shock trap. That keeps the tail kind of still. Ow. Okay. Got an arm knockdown from a beefed up arm. And if we hadn't gotten the jump off the arm there, we probably would have experienced some hurt. Ow. Speaking of experiencing hurt, the fact that this guy can change direction mid-air is a little aphysical. A little unpleasant for me. But then again, it does make him a more difficult monster. If he wasn't able to change directions mid-air, then that attack would not be a threat. Like, there's definitely some attacks that need to not follow physics at all. And sometimes they do a decent job of at least making them look cool. Ow. Oh, by the way, I hope you've been paying attention to when this guy enrages, how his fur looks. Because even if we kill him while he's raging, it's not going to look like that when he's dead. So yeah, just pay close attention. I actually really like the patterning on his fur when he's enraged. Like, I wouldn't call the texture work on his fur amazing. Like, pretty much none of the fur in this game has amazing textures. Dang, cat, you read him like a book. while the actual texture of the fur doesn't look that great, the colors and the way they meet and separate actually does look pretty nice. I'm a fan. And it's a cool pattern, and they knew it. That's why they made a Rajang Special Edition 3DS to go along with, I think it was 4G in Japan. Might have been just 4. It was definitely one of them, that's for sure. There he goes. If he's not enraged on the other side here, I'll go ahead and drop a shock, but he's raging. Ow. Well, now he's not raging. Oh, and he's tired. Even better. So, Cat, get over here. Also, Rajang, get over here. Thanks, buddy. Definitely getting good tail hits in now. Apparently we had quite a ways to go. And there's the limp. Unfortunately, he limps with his tail between his legs. Certainly doesn't help me to actually get the thing. I like how you can see him leaving some drool behind as he goes. Ooh, he is going a ways. And through the mountain. Well, we might still have a chance to bust the tail, but I don't know whether it will actually happen. I hope we can do it. I'd certainly like to. Gets me an extra reward. And I do like getting extra rewards. But we'll see what happens. Seriously, you didn't even manage to get to sleep? There it goes. And as you can see, it made him leave rage. Incidentally, his rage model apparently doesn't have a tailed version, because you heard the tail break, but the fur was still there until he fully left rage. Yeah, textures on the fur are a little bit muddy. The horns, low res texture though. You can see the rings in the horns. That's kind of neat. And then the face texture, just like with Blangonga, is probably the best texture on him. Yeah, it's pretty okay. And now I've got hiccups. Yeah, Rajang is definitely a monster. Definitely a monster that people have trouble with as well. Because he's just got some overwhelming power. And he moves pretty quick too. And he's got a ranged attack. But at least he's soft for the most part. And we got a tail and a horn. Now, there's a little bit of a thing that I haven't had a chance to explicitly state yet. But while we are fighting every monster in this game in monster list order, we're also going to be fighting all the variants that have their own icons. So, for example, while Furious Rajang doesn't show up in the monster list, it does get its own icon, so next time it's getting its own episode. See you then, friends.